Donald Trump. I'm invincible. Hello. I'm H.G. Tudor. As events unfold following the assassination attempt in relation to Donald Trump, it provides me with a further opportunity to help you understand how those events affect narcissists such as Donald Trump and the mindset that's accorded with all of that. Recent events provide an excellent opportunity to help you understand more about the way that this upper lesser type B narcissist functions. Following the events on Saturday, Trump appeared at the Republican convention. He looked emotional, the Telegraph reports, as he walked into the conference center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on the first day of the convention on Monday. Wearing a bandage over his right ear, the Republican nominee appeared defiant after Saturday's shooting at a rally in Pennsylvania. If you want to understand what the source of his defiance is, then please watch my earlier video in relation to that. Trump waved at the packed arena and received a hero's welcome. That, of course, will provide him with huge amounts of fuel. Thousands of people applauding him, chanting USA. There for him, applauding him, cheering him. Whilst many of the people in the audience he won't know, thus their non-intimate tertiary sources, the fact that they are proximate to him and providing him with positive fuel by the thousands is a massive fuel dump for Donald Trump. He received a hero's welcome, with cheering supporters giving him a standing ovation as Lee Greenwood sang "God Bless the USA." He greeted his family before taking a seat between commentator Tucker Carlson and J.D. Vance, his new running mate. Donald Trump Jr. looked choked up as his father entered the room. The late-night appearance occurred hours after jubilant delegates nominated the former president to lead their ticket for a third time. Earlier on Monday, Trump announced that Mr. Vance was his pick for vice president in the race to the 2024 election. He said Mr. Vance, an Ohio senator, was best suited and will continue to fight for our Constitution, stand with our troops, and will do everything he can to help me make America great again. The Republican convention came just 2 days after the attempt on Trump's life. You're familiar with what happened there. Republicans have already capitalized on the attempt on their candidate's life, calling for donations, alongside a photo of a bloodied Trump raising his fist seconds after his ear was struck by a sniper's bullet. Mr. Vance joined other Republicans in raising a fist to Trump when he appeared at the convention. Republican Party Chairman Michael Whatley told the convention that Americans should show the same strength and resilience as President Trump. Accordingly, Donald Trump survives an assassination attempt. That of itself reinforces a notion of invincibility. The fact that he then attends the Republican convention, where his supporters are near delirious, and it's understandable, in relation to their support for him. The fuel is pouring towards him, which will make him feel very powerful indeed. But it doesn't just end there, with this notion of invincibility. Certain narcissists form the view that they are invincible. It's part of the grandiosity, it's part of the magical thinking, it's part of the haughty arrogance, which enables that narcissist to present themselves as invincible. Nothing will take me down. They can try and destroy me, but they won't succeed. Whatever you throw at me, it will just bounce off me. I will come back stronger. Those are the types of things that certain narcissists will say. Sometimes that is based on the truth. The fact is that the narcissist keeps going, showing that indefatigable spirit in the face of hostility. The narcissist feeds on the negative outpourings of their opponent, particularly those which are highly provocative narcissists. It powers the narcissist. The self-belief that the narcissist is imbued with by the narcissism, that they are always right, that they are the one that will succeed. This sense of invincibility is seen more with the narcissists that don't utilize the victim mentality as extensively. All narcissists will have a victim mentality. Some use it extensively. This is particularly seen with mid-rangers, especially middle mid-range A and middle range B. Whilst other narcissists have that victim mentality, they don't rely on it as much, and instead, rather than utilize pity plays, they portray themselves as the target of unnecessary hostility and hatred, not to make people feel sorry for them, but simply to point out that there are people who are envious of them, that there are people who've got it in for them as a consequence of their abilities and superiority, that these individuals are filled with hate because they can't be me. Thus, driven by that self-belief and an all-conquering attitude, there will be instances where a particular narcissist utilizes actual events in their favor to reinforce this notion of invincibility. For Donald Trump, this is the fact that somebody attempted to kill him and they failed. For other narcissists, their invincibility will arise from a revision of history, telling tall tales about what they've done with regard to tales of daring do and spectacular brushes with death which never actually happened, but in the mind of the narcissist that they did. Here, as I've explained, Donald Trump is utilizing something which actually happened. As I've explained to you before, the narcissist will use the truth as you understand it to be, often the half-truth and often nowhere near the truth. Here, Donald Trump is utilizing the truth. And he has another aspect of the truth which reinforces this concept of invincibility as a consequence of a recent decision that has been made in Florida. A Florida judge has dismissed the U.S. Justice Department's classified documents case against Donald Trump in a huge victory for the former president just days after a gunman attempted to assassinate him. Judge Aileen Cannon granted Mr. Trump's motion to dismiss the federal case on the basis that the Justice Department's appointment of Special Prosecutor Jack Smith violates the Appointments Clause of the U.S. Constitution. He pleaded not guilty to several charges in the case over his handling of classified documents, including willful retention of national defense information. A spokesperson for Mr. Smith said that the Justice Department has authorized an appeal. Dozens of classified files were found in Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, including in a shower and a storage room, after he left the White House in 2021. The court is convinced that Special Counsel Smith's prosecution of this action breaches two structural cornerstones of our constitutional scheme: the role of Congress in the appointment of constitutional officers and the role of Congress in authorizing expenditures by law, Judge Cannon concluded in her 93-page order. The former president faced multiple felony accounts over his alleged mishandling of classified documents. The 37-count indictment accused Mr. Trump of keeping files at his Florida estate and lying to investigators. It alleged he then tried to obstruct the investigation into the handling of the documents. Judge Cannon said in her ruling that this decision applies to this case and not a second one overseen by Mr. Smith over alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The former president's lawyers did not make a similar request to dismiss that case. Accordingly, the fact that this case has been dismissed and that Donald Trump's motion to dismiss was supported and accepted by the judge is further a demonstration of the concept of invincibility for Donald Trump. He, naturally, is utilizing the truth as he sees it, that he has not done anything wrong. The state's case against him fell foul of a breach of a particular statute. Therefore, it has been dismissed. Whilst an appeal may follow, at the current time, that case has been dismissed, and thus another attempt to use lawfare against Donald Trump has not succeeded. This, combined with the failure to take his life, enhances that sense of invincibility, which is important to an upper lesser type B narcissist such as Donald Trump. It reinforces the notion that he is right. Remember, in the world of Donald Trump, driven by his narcissism, he is always right. There will be occasions where he is right based on what is the majority perceived truth. In other instances, he isn't in the right based upon that majority perception of the truth. Nevertheless, he does not accept that, because to do so would be a threat to control. The attempt to take his life was a clear threat to his control. It failed. It was nullified. He was able to utilize that which powered his defiance, as I have explained elsewhere. One aspect of a legal action against Donald Trump has been dismissed. Naturally, bringing a court case against him is a threat to control. He succeeded. That threat has been nullified. And thus these two recent events will reinforce that notion of invincibility that Donald Trump has. His detractors will suggest that such notions of invincibility are clearly the product of an overgrown ego and that it is dangerous. His supporters would point to the fact that having a notion of invincibility is not necessarily a bad thing, because it imbues in him a determination to get the job done, that he won't be swayed by his detractors and his critics, that he won't be slowed down by them. And even if they recognize that this invincibility is being generated by his narcissism, they can make a case to suggest that its presence is actually helpful rather than a hindrance. Thus, once again, by understanding the narcissism of Donald Trump, you're able to get insight into the way that he sees the world and what motivates him. This invincibility, a clear facet of the upper lesser type B narcissist, gains credence from the two recent events also. It bolsters this notion of invincibility, and, in the case of Donald Trump, it can be argued that this is something that aids him with regard to succeeding in his stated aims. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.